YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Just before bowl season's ready to kick off, just a few days away. In this video, I have my favorite games to put money on here. My favorite spread picks. I got 12 of them. Did pretty well in this last year, so excited to do this. We'll go through each game, break them down. At the end of the video, I'm kind of going to separate these games into categories. Games that I like, love, and the lock. So obviously, I like every game here that we're talking about. So very excited to go through these. Also did a separate videos on my college football playoff predictions, score predictions actually, and all the bowl game score predictions as well. Two separate videos already on the channel. This video is breaking down my favorite ones to put money on here. So can't wait for the bowl season to start. Just before we get started, we have a couple announcements. A free-to-play Bowl Mania group. I'm going to pin a link in the comments. You guys click that link, and you guys free to join, and you pick all the bowl games, and we'll see who the big winner is after that. But a bunch of people will join that, so it'll be pretty interesting to see who comes out on top there. And we have a 40K subscriber goal by the end of the season here. Full NFL and college football content all over the channel, and plenty more to come, even in the off season. We got free agency and NFL draft coverage, of course. Click that like button. Check us out on Twitter at GoatHouseNFL, constantly talking football on there. There's a link in the description. And then we have extra content such as mock drafts updated every single week, score predictions, playoff predictions, all that for the NFL and college football on the Patreon, link in the description for that. But first game I want to talk about is actually a playoff game, which is the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, where LSU just played the SEC championship game. I'm sticking with my original score prediction here, 48-24, 24-point win for LSU, but kind of further proves my point that I really like LSU in this game, minus 13 points. I got them winning by 24, minus 13, looking pretty good. If I had to, find flaws in betting on this game, it would be garbage time for Oklahoma. I think LSU is definitely the better team. They're better offensively, better defensively. That's why it's a terrible matchup for Oklahoma, because they win games or stay in games that they are just plain and simple the better offensive team. And that's usually the case, but it is not the case in this game. It's definitely not the case. It's a new challenge, even for that defense. I like there's some bright spots in that defense for Oklahoma, some NFL stars for the future possibly, but they just have not seen this LSU offense line, this LSU offense, and the LSU defense has improved as the year has gone along. It's a defense that took some criticism too because of giving up some points, but I think for the most part, it's garbage points. So I'm very confident in LSU, the best team in college football right at this moment. A bad matchup for Oklahoma. It'll be a big win. If they're able to do something like that on Georgia, they'll for sure be able to do it on Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been, we saw them lose to Kansas State. We've seen them barely escape Baylor 2 different times. We've seen them close with TCU, barely escape that, and some other teams. So this is a new challenge. It's LSU should have. I'm really surprised it's under 2 touchdowns. The line, 13 points. Very surprised it's under 14 points there. So they win by 2 touchdowns. You win. I'm very confident in that. So going with LSU, again, at the end of the video, we'll kind of summarize everything and break them down in the groups, how much I like each one. I like Alabama -7, as you can see here. Michigan is +7. Alabama, I would be taking -7 in this game by a touchdown, but I have them winning by 22 points. Alabama starting to come out that some guys will sit out, some guys will surprisingly actually play. Trevon Diggs, the cornerback, who is projected first-round pick, and Terrell Lewis, the pass rusher, who is another projected first-round pick, will be sitting out. But that doesn't bother me. Guys like Jerry Jeudy said they're going to play. So some guys like that just love football, want to play with their brothers. They're going to play, and that's kind of the energy that Nick Saban has brought there, and they are the much better team here, the much better team. Michigan's gotten better on offense, kind of, as the season has gone on. They're able to run the ball a little bit, but even with those guys sitting out, every year there's a new guy for Alabama. This guy's on our radar for the NFL draft. Now this guy is a new young guy coming up, and this is kind of that time where we'll start to see some of those guys, and some of the younger guys end up being some of the guys, the guys that went in the first round just a year later. So guys will step up. It's a well-coached team. It's a very good team. It's the best recruited team in the country. Here in the Citrus Bowl, they are better than Michigan by a wide margin to me. By a wide margin. I think Alabama will get a good amount of pressure in this game defensively and offensively. I don't, even without Tua, I just don't see Michigan slowing them down. It could be similar to the Ohio State game, Michigan versus Ohio State. Could be somewhere similar to that. I like Alabama all over Michigan. Only a touchdown in terms of the line is pretty wild to me. I've seen it bounce around between 7 and 7.5, But as you can see, that's why I give you the score prediction. That really doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter at all. Alabama will run it up in this game. Very confident about that. They are just a better team. In a bad matchup for Michigan, because Michigan wants to be able to run the ball a lot. We saw that against Ohio State. They just couldn't stay in the game running the ball. Not going to be able to do that against Alabama. Next game, it's a similar matchup because it's SEC Big Ten. And I just don't like these matchups for the Big Ten teams here. There are Big Ten teams that can hang with some SEC teams, but these matchups I just do not like. I like Auburn 34-14 over Minnesota, and they are similar situation to Alabama. I've seen them bounce around between the lines, 7.5. Either way, I do like it a lot. But I like the Auburn Tigers here. I think an elite defense and an improving offense. Bo Nix, an improving true freshman quarterback who's gotten better as season has gone on. We've seen them against Alabama with lights out. And, Bo Nix is going to go all out. This team's going to go all out. The offense is going to go all out. The defense is they're always going to produce. They're always going to play here. And it's a bad matchup for Minnesota because Minnesota is more of the balanced Big Ten team. They don't have an insane amount of offense. They don't have an elite defense, but they make plays on defense. It's just a bad matchup for them. It's going to be similar to the Wisconsin game. It's a similar style matchup, but I think Auburn is a much better version of Wisconsin here. And this game is down south in the Outback Bowl, which favors Auburn a bit. I see Auburn all over Minnesota in this game. It's a very good matchup for them. It's a tough matchup for Minnesota. 7 points is pretty ridiculous. The only thing stopping it is maybe Auburn's offense doesn't really show up, which we've seen before, but I like the clear and obvious improvement as the season has gone on. Next up, I like the Gators. They are minus 13.5 in the Orange Bowl. That's right down the street in Miami. So pretty much a home game for the Florida Gators against Virginia. Virginia's had a pretty solid year, but also inconsistent, also playing in the ACC. We see every time they get matched up against a pretty good team, Notre Dame, Clemson, it doesn't go too well. They did stick in the Notre Dame game a little bit. I do think Florida is a good amount better than a Notre Dame team. Florida has that defense to slow down Bryce Perkins and the Virginia offense, but they also have a much improved offense as the season has gone on, and Virginia doesn't present any, stellar defense. They got some playmakers here and there, but Florida will be able to score. At the same time, we all trust their defense. It's a similar situation to kind of Auburn, similar style team, maybe a little more offense. Maybe Auburn has a slight edge in defense, but they'll be fine in this game, especially at home, especially because of the better team. Just under 2 touchdowns. I have seen it bounce towards 14-point favorites, which is right at 2 touchdowns, but I see them getting over that. I really don't see Virginia scoring over 17. I'd say 20 is really the cap for them. And Florida has a pretty good range from the 30s to the 40s there. It's another one. I like the matchup game for a lot of these games. I like the Gators, especially pretty much at home here, which favors them in terms of traveling and in terms of fan base too. Next game, I like the Irish. Only -4 against Iowa State in the Camping World Bowl, which is in Orlando, Florida. The only reason this is a game is because Notre Dame is not in the conference, so it's kind of an odd matchup. Another one that I really, really like the matchup for Notre Dame because Iowa State is one of those, balanced Big 12 teams. They can score, but, they're not going to go and score an insane amount of points while playing against, Big 12 defense. And their defense, I'd say they're on the better side for Big 12 defenses. But now going against Notre Dame, a defense they have not seen maybe besides Iowa, and it's going to be tough for them to put up a good amount of points. But I do think Notre Dame's offense has gotten going as the season went on. I expect their big-time players to play in this game, which it should be no problem for them. I have them winning by 11 points. They're -4. It's a pretty good matchup for them. On top of them, the Irish being the much better team here as well. Seeing that one bounce around from 3.5, 4 doesn't really matter at my scoreline there. Indiana and Tennessee. I like Tennessee in this one. Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Being south helps Tennessee a bit, I guess. SEC country, I suppose. 30-21 Tennessee final. Tennessee has gotten a lot better as the season went on. Beginning of the year, didn't think there was any chance this team would be in a bowl game. They got a lot better. Had some injuries, but got a lot better. The defense, we can trust the defense. Play SEC teams. They put up good performances against good SEC teams even in games that they won, and they started to score a little more points. We've seen them putting up good points against good SEC defenses as well. Indiana, we actually seen them ranked at one point, kind of on the easier side of the schedule. They have given up points. If Indiana was more of a defensive team, then this would be interesting. This would be an interesting game, but we see them, they can score at times, but even though they haven't seen Tennessee's defense, but they will give up some points. So I like the Volunteers in this game. Much improved team. They're only -1.5. I have them winning by 9 points. So only 1.5. Seen it around 2. So just under 2. Looks pretty good for the Vols there. Arizona State, Florida State. Got Arizona State winning by 10 in the Sun Bowl. And they are only -5. It's a much improved team as the season has gone on. They were inconsistent during the regular season, but they played real tight matchups in the Pac-12. Pac-12 doesn't have any elite team, but it's really a battle because a lot of even and solid teams, no real weak link in the Pac-12. So Arizona State, and we see them play recently even against Oregon and what they're able to do against the good teams in the Pac-12. Florida State will be a much easier challenge than what they've seen down the stretch. Their freshman quarterback definitely improving, definitely a bright one to watch out for the future. And a well-coached team. We've seen coaching changes for Florida State. It's for the better, but it's still a challenge to prepare for an Arizona State team here in a bowl game. I trust the Arizona State staff more and the talent they have. I like them. Coming up my score, I think it's almost the bottom line, winning by 10. I think it's so they're -5. More I'm talking about it, I like Arizona State more and more. I think they're just the better team here. Next game is the Texas Bowl. A&M versus Oklahoma State. A&M is -6.5. I like them a lot. I have them winning by 13 points, actually. And A&M will be evaluated by most just looking at their record. But if you go in, if you watch the games, or if you just see who they played the top-tier SEC teams in their losses, and they lost to a very good Clemson Tiger team, obviously. And this is a very good team. A&M is actually a very good team, in my opinion. The only reason they're not talked about enough, the only reason they're not ranked is because of their record, plain and simple. It's a good team. It's a team that, has only struggled in the past because of defense. It's a much, much improved defense. The offense was very underwhelming this year. There was some injuries, but they were very underwhelming, very disappointing. But again, that's going against, look at the competition they played to make the offense underwhelming. Their defense, again, was impressive. Now look at the matchup here against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had a very good season. Playing in the Big 12, it's more of that offensive Big 12 team. They're going to give up some points, a good amount of points, but they are going to score on those weaker Big 12 defenses that they see. Now they play a much improved Texas A&M, an SEC team, a much improved Texas A&M defense and an offense that I know have the playmakers and ability to score on a Big 12 defense. I think it's a bad matchup for Oklahoma State. They rather see, the problem is A&M can do both. The much improved defense, but I still think their offense is the game, even though it hasn't really showed much this year, but based on who they played. They're favored by around a touchdown, just under a touchdown. Again, I think it's a good matchup. I think their defense slows Oklahoma State down enough. They won't stop them, but their offense will be able to score on this defense. I like the Aggies here. It essentially is what's a home game here, which it's not too far for Oklahoma State either. It's kind of their territory, what they play in the Big 12, but pretty much a home game for Texas A&M. I like the Aggies a lot in this one. Air Force, -3 versus Washington State is an underdog that I like. I'm still surprised this is an underdog team in Washington State. I get them winning big, 42-31. And why I think the line is like this is because it's a Cheez-It Bowl. No, I'm kidding. Cheez-It Bowl, Wild Bowl last year with the defensive game, which was expected to be a high-scoring game. So looking forward to the famous now Cheez-It Bowl. But Washington State's Air Force, the reason I think Air Force is favored, which is a little surprising to me, I would think most too, is because Air Force's defense, they've been a pretty darn good defense, limiting teams to under 20 points per game. Very impressive, but you look at who they played. They did play a fellow Pac-12 team in Colorado, but it's a Colorado team. How would you sum up that team? I think it's a balanced Pac-12 team. Pretty solid offense, pretty solid defense for a Pac-12 team. Nothing spectacular. Washington State, on the other hand, is all offense. It's talking Pac-12. I'd say this is probably an elite offensive Pac-12 team. It's not an elite offensive team, but it's an elite offensive Pac-12 team. So I think they look at the numbers there. They look at the Air Force stops teams, and Washington State's game is offense, so they think it's going to be tough for Washington State. I think the opposite. I think because Air Force has not played anywhere near this offense right here in Washington State is a problem. Washington State can score on pretty much anybody. They also have Mike Leach, who I actually think is one of the better coaches in all of college football. He'll have a good time game planning for this one, and he'll come up with something good. He'll figure out a way to score on this good defense. We're going to find out if it's really good in this game. But I am very confident in this one. Washington State will score. They will play their game. Anthony Gordon's had a very good season here. And they'll play their game. And at the same time, on the other side, Air Force could score. They're more of that defensive team. They could score. But again, even though Washington State's been a weaker defensive team, they haven't really seen anything different in terms of the defense. So I just don't think they can keep up scoring. The name of the game for Air Force's defense, will it be against a Mike Leach, Anthony Gordon shootout, air raid Washington State team? Will it? I really don't think so. So we'll see. That's an interesting one. That it's kind of a low profile one, but one that I'm really looking forward to, and not just because it's the Cheez-It Bowl. Wake Forest and Michigan State, interesting one here. Pinstripe Bowl, Yankee Stadium, very cool bowl game here that I always look forward to. I got Wake Forest winning the game, and they're getting 4.5 points. It's a tough one to pick the winner here, but I do like Wake Forest. I do like this team. They were ranked for a bit for a reason. They have a very solid offense. Jamie Newman, very impressive quarterback. I think he has a pretty good ball game here. Michigan State's game, the name of their game is supposed to be defense, and just the lack of offense for the first part of the year was what was killing them. But the defense was playing okay. Second half of the season, they're starting to get a little bit of offense going. Yeah, I guess it was against weaker opponents when they were winning. But the defense, all of a sudden, they started to give up some points where you don't expect them to. A little messy this year for Michigan State. I think Wake Forest is a better team. They're not going to let Michigan State play their game in defense. Wake Forest will score. Newman will put the ball in the end zone. And Michigan State, this is a good opportunity for their offense because Wake Forest's weakness is defense. But is Michigan State an offense that is just going to go out there and just continue to put up points? It seems like it's that offense. Yeah, they'll put up more points on the weaker defenses, but they're still not going to go out and put up an insane amount of points here. I just don't think they can keep up with Wake Forest. I think Jamie Newman plays a good game. It's an interesting one, though. But either way, if you think Michigan State's going to win, you got Wake Forest over here who is getting 4.5 points. So it's a pretty good line there for Wake Forest there in the Pinstripe Bowl. So I like them. Another underdog that I like. And then now here's a big favorite that I like. Appalachian State 41, UAB 17. Hate this bowl game because the Mountaineers are deserving of way better. UAB pretty underwhelming here. They got, be honest, they got pretty much they got destroyed against Florida Atlantic in their bowl game. And App State, I think, is a better team than Florida Atlantic. Well, I know they are. And we're here in the New Orleans Bowl, and I think App State runs it up. I think it's a type of, school that, I think they'll be pissed off a little bit that they didn't get a better bowl game. So I think they'll run it up here. UAB just doesn't have enough offense. You can score on App State. Their defense plays good here and there. I guess it's something that's inconsistent. One week they'll really shut a team out. One week they'll give up some points, but it feels like garbage time sometimes. Their offense will go show out. UAB just doesn't have what it takes to kind of keep up with this App State team. So 41-17, huge win for the Mountaineers there. Even though it's 17, which is a lot, I like them to go all out in this game and take care of business. Much better team. Bad matchup for UAB. Next game is Pittsburgh, Eastern Michigan. A very weird matchup. Pittsburgh, real good in the beginning of the year. They would lose some close games against some good teams. End of the year, they start to fall apart a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're talking Pittsburgh versus Eastern Michigan. This Pittsburgh team is much, much better. I like them on both sides of the ball. When they play, the weaker defense, they can score and they can play some defense too. We've seen them, put up a fight, defensively with some solid teams this year. The only downside is this Quick Lane Bowl is in Detroit, Michigan. Eastern Michigan playing in Detroit, Michigan. It's really the only downside, but Pittsburgh is the much better team. They'll be able to score points, and they'll be able to limit Eastern Michigan from scoring a whole bunch. They are minus 10.5. I got them winning, by 20 points there. So I do like Pitt a lot in this one. And that sums up all my games. We'll sum it up even more here. My favorite ones, the locks, the ones I consider locks. Auburn minus 7 against Minnesota. Terrible, terrible matchup for Minnesota. Like I said, similar to the Wisconsin matchup, but Auburn, to me, is better than Wisconsin. It's an improving offense, an elite defense. Minnesota, solid team, great season. I was rooting for them this year, but they just don't have enough firepower, to keep up with Auburn or even score much points at all against that defense. I talked about Washington State. I think I'm surprised by that line. Washington State, very well coached and a very good offense. They will score They'll score no matter what. They'll score no matter what. And how can Air Force keep up? Washington State is getting 3 points here. That one's gold right there. Alabama -7 against Michigan. No matter who's playing for Alabama, they have NFL talent. They have first-round talent after first-round talent. Next year, the year after, those guys will step up and play. They are well coached. They have enough offense. They will force Michigan to play keep up. And can Michigan do that when their game is running the ball? Shea Patterson's going to have to air it out with all this top-tier pressure in his face. I don't like that matchup for Michigan. LSU -13. Terrible matchup once again for Oklahoma. The name of the game for Oklahoma is being the better offense. They are not the better offense, which is rare, but they are not, and they are definitely not the better defense as well. LSU should win by at the very, 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 very least 2 touchdowns, and the line is under that. So that's why that one is a lock there. The games that I love. So just under lock. Locks, then loves, then likes. Pittsburgh, we just talked about them, -10.5. The more I'm talking about this one, I almost want to put it in the locks. If it was sitting at 10, 10.5 kind of being weird. If it was sitting at 10, maybe I would put it in the lock, but it's borderline there. We're talking about Pittsburgh versus Eastern Michigan. I know the game's in Michigan. Much better team on both sides of the ball. Go out there and dominate this game. A&M, great matchup against Oklahoma State. They're used to playing those SEC teams or even Clemson, who they played. It's an improved defense, so the defense will do enough. The offense has been underwhelming, but against a Big 12 team that their game is offense, they don't really have the best defense. A&M, with their playmakers, will be able to score. Arizona State -5 versus Florida State. Arizona State's the better team on both sides of the ball. A little messy what's going on in Florida State. The coaching change, I think, really could hurt them in this game. It's good for the future. Arizona State, could, I think run it up on Florida State. I really think so. We've seen them against Oregon. I think they'll be able to bring something to the table like that, and it's a totally different matchup. Florida State, Oregon, games like that. Well-coached Arizona State team wins it. Notre Dame, the much better team over Iowa State. Iowa State, I don't know if they can keep up here, and they also haven't played a defense like Notre Dame this year. Nothing spectacular, but again, playing in the Big 12, they haven't really seen much like it. Notre Dame should take care of business here in the Camping World Bowl there. So those are the games that I love, and out of the games that I like, just a step under, but still like them a lot. Appalachian State -17 against UAB. They will be all over UAB in that game. Reason it's not like or love is because 17's a lot. Florida, 13.5, a lot of points. That's why it's down here, but they should be winning this game by 2 touchdowns at the very, very, very least. Tennessee, -1.5 against Indiana. I think the better team, the SEC team here, much, much improved team. Both sides of the ball this season has gone on. I like them -1.5. And then Wake Forest getting 4.5 points versus Michigan State. The question here is, can Michigan State keep up scoring with Jamie Newman and Wake Forest? I don't think so here, but even if they do, +4.5 for Wake Forest. So those are the games that I like. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Any games you thought I would talk about that maybe I didn't, we can discuss them down in the comments. If you don't like any of these, I'll discuss anything at this point. Should be pretty interesting. And then link in the pin in the comments as well for that Bowl Mania. You guys can join, pick games alongside us. So a lot to look forward to in bowl season. Plenty of NFL videos on the channel, more to come, of course. So please subscribe, join us for all that. Click the like button. We would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.